Hello guys, this is Dutch Lancaster. Welcome to my Japanese strategy video for Global 40 2nd edition. I call this operation Tojo's Tsunami. Hideki Tojo was a general in the Japanese army. He was also prime minister, and as prime minister he ordered the attack on Pearl Harbor. This is not what I intend to do in this strategy video. Quite the contrary, I intend to avoid getting into the war with America. Let me explain this strategy turn by turn. It's not a J1. If you're looking for a J1 strategy, I would highly recommend seeing the strategy video by Young Grasshopper. This is typically a J2 attack, but it depends upon the movements and movements on the Allied forces, which could postpone the J1 attack and getting into a J3. So I will explain this video in every section. So I won't do any movement on those troops. There's a lot of movement with Japanese forces. You won't see my clumsy hands moving those carriers, and of course those fighters will fall off, and then you have to see me how clumsy I am and getting those fighters back on the carrier. So that will only postpone this video. So let me tell you about my my purchases for turn 1. So this is kind of a traditional miner. This is my miner production facility and 2 transports. So that's 26 IPCs. I won't bring the Allied forces into the war just yet. So what my attacks will be, and I will move all those forces accordingly, and I will put the low luck calculation on removing casualties. So my attacks turn 1 is just these Chinese territories of Yunnan, Hunan, Anhui and Chahar. Chahar and Anhui will just be walking, and Hunan and Yunnan will be combat. So we'll move all the attacking units, and we'll also move the non-combat units, and I will get back to you guys at the end of turn 1. At the end of turn 1 it would look like this. So it's a big orange blob, but guys kind of can tell that I like the color of orange. That's why I have this yoga mat as orange background, being Dutch as I am. I divided my fleet into 2 big parts. One around the Caroline Islands with the 2 carriers, the 2 destroyers and 1 sub. And you see zone, what's that? 36. Oh, started moving that carrier. I shouldn't have. Look what I did. So that's 1 carrier, 2 battleships, 2 cruisers, 1 destroyer, 1 sub, and 2 transports. Those transports, I brought some forces from Japan and Okinawa and Manchuria, and they put them in Guangxi. And well, those 4 battles, let me zoom in on that just to have you guys any idea what I did bring into those battles. So that's 2 in Yunnan, that's 2 strategic bombers, 1 tactical bomber, 1 fighter. Those came from Jiangsu. And 3 infantry and 1 artillery. And in, well look, let me just pull off 2 of those infantry. So I take Yunnan, and Hunan, that's I brought 2 infantry, and those are 3 fighters and 2 tactical bombers. So let me just pull off one of those, and these fighters and these tactical bombers, they move back to Jiangxi, and all these will converge, these planes all back to Guangxi. So that's a total of 5 fighters, 3 tactical bombers, 2 strategic bombers. And of course there's the 2 infantry, 1 artillery and 1 tank that came with those transports. So this is Anwei. It's the 6 infantry, 2 artillery. In Chahar, that's 2 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 mechanized infantry. I moved up those forces to Johor, so that's 5 infantry, because there's 1 infantry that the transport took from Manchuria, and there's the anti-air gun. Those forces moved from Korea to Manchuria. One of the fighters moved from Korea, moved to Japan. And oh, there's still 1 destroyer left in Season 6. So that should be here with that fleet. So that's actually 2 destroyers. Forgot to move that. This is just a strategy video, not a real game. So you can see I brought those 2 transports in Season 6. And there's the minor facility in Jiangsu. And there was the 1 transport from Season 20, I believe. Yeah, that went to Season 34. At the end of round 1, Japan makes 40 IPCs. That's basically the same as with the J1 attack. Of course, the battleship will either, well, probably move back to India or maybe to Season 54. It can take 1 of these islands, the UK, and ANZAC may probably get 1 of these islands. That's just fine. Let me just emphasize that I have this tactical force of 2 strategic 2 carriers with planes and the submarine and the 2 destroyers. So again, Japan, at the end of turn 1, will make 40 IPCs. For turn 2, Japan had 40 IPCs to spend. That's 1 fighter, 2 destroyers, 1 tank and 2 mechanized infantry. The tank and mechanized infantry will come from the factory in Jiangsu, and obviously the destroyers are put in Season 6 and the fighter is put on Japan. So just for an example, the UK have taken Sumatra, ANZAC has taken Java. UK has brought 4 infantry and 1 artillery, moved up some land forces, and pulling back the Royal Air Force. ANZAC has moved up the destroyer and the cruiser in Season 54 and bought an transport and 1 infantry. America, they put all those Pacific forces around Hawaii, mass in, and well, fleeing from the Philippines. There's the fighter, so it's only 2 infantry in the Philippines. I wouldn't know why America would just stay put with that submarine and destroyer. So they put on a battleship and a carrier and a tactical bomber, just for an example. That's almost, well, they could have put, I don't know, maybe 2 battleships or 2 carriers and 1 battleship. Just an example. So they're putting down a lot of stuff. So now this is a perfect example on how to proceed further. Let me just get this. I'm assuming that the Soviets have put their men something like this. If they put all their men in Amur with the AA guns, then I would definitely consider attacking that force, although it would cost a lot, but that would get rid of those Soviet forces. But I'm assuming that it would look something like this. So, having this example with the UK forces and NSEC and the Americans, I will continue this example on turn 2 and then give you a short summary on possible future events. So in turn 2, all these black spots are all the things that Japan can do and getting the Allied forces into the war for this example, but it could very well be that Japan won't bring them into the war. For example, if the Allied forces don't take these islands, or if America is not putting everything there in the Pacific, or if the Russians do something crazy, especially with China. Even, for example, if China tries to get back the road, then for sure just hammer them in Yunnan, I would say. But this is just an example. So the UK, they still got Sumatra, but then the transport is lost as well with NSEC, getting rid of those transports. But this could very well be a surprise strike by the Japanese on those NSEC ships, because although there's a 3-plane scramble, I don't think they will against this. And normally you would say, well, America will simply get to CSON 54 and retaliate. But for this example, those 2 carriers are going to CSON 55, which is the only spot, the CSON spot, where the planes can land safely, because the Hawaiian fleet could go either to CSON 49 or 53 or even 46. Yeah, the Americans could go to CSON 30, 49, then to CSON 46, but they can't reach this CSON. So with 1 sub, 1 destroyer, 2 tactical bombers and 2 fighters, I don't think the NSECs will scramble. And if they do, well, that's all the better. Then they have exactly nothing left. So if they don't scramble, then, well, for example, I could lose maybe just the sub, then we'll leave the destroyer, and then those planes will simply land on those carriers. This is something that can be done. Getting 1 fighter from Japan in the destroyer, we'll get rid of that. Just examples. So getting the Philippines just like that, with the 2 transport and a bombardment shot from the cruiser will take care of that. Getting Borneo by the transport from Season 34 can go through the season in the Philippines then to Borneo, getting that from the UK, and getting Malaya with those two transports, those 4 land troops supported by 3 bombardment shots, and there's the 2 planes which will land on the carrier, which was in Season 36. Oh, for example, I forgot this, just getting a man into French Indochina. So there's a lot of money, for example, with Borneo and Malaya and French Indochina, that's already 9 IPCs, Philippines, that's 2, so that's 11. Getting Hong Kong, that's 14, and there's maybe 2, 3 Chinese territories, so let's say 16, 17 IPCs just for the taking. And the turn after that, I will just get, I have all the transports in range, so I will get all the money islands in turn 3. One thing you can do with those strategic bombers is getting a strategic bombing rate on Calcutta, so they can intercept those, but normally you would have to roll 2 once, and then the strategic bombers can also roll 2 once, so normally, well, it's not very beneficial for the UK in my opinion. So getting those forces in Kwaichou, the tank and the mechanized infantry. I'm sorry, I just bought these in turn 2, so those will have to wait another round. So for example, they can reach turn 3 and then can go someplace else to some up those Chinese. So that's all the things that you can do. I especially like the strategic point from the Carolines. You could go maybe if the Americans don't bring a lot to Hawaii, you can also get rid of those ships. Or for example, you can get these into the Indonesia and getting rid of those transports, or support the Philippines. You can do a lot of things from the Caroline Islands. So that's probably the place the Americans will go, is the Caroline Islands, but they would have done so anyway. So I like this strategy for Japan. It gives options. The J1 attack, very powerful. Again, if you're interested in that, look to the video from Young Grasshopper. He explains every in and out, and also adding Pearl Harbor into that. So I can see many things going for the Japanese after this. And especially I like the early minor production facility, and in turn 2 getting Hong Kong and French Indochina. I would definitely get at least 1 minor production facility on the land, and then from here securing the Money Islands, Philippines, very important, this harbor to defend against America, and then from here pushing into Calcutta, because they're only making what, 5 IPCs, 6, and if they're being bombed, well, they don't hardly get any land troops after this. So of course, yeah, they have what, maybe 12 land forces, but there won't be any follow-ups. Oh, thank you for watching. I will consider making another Japanese strategy video. I have something else up my sleeve. So again, thank you for watching. Oh, the United States, well, they could go to Season 6, but yeah, with the kamikaze tokens, these are the out-of-box kamikaze tokens right there. Yeah, it's just be ready. Okay, they can get those destroyers, but with the kamikaze tokens, just use them and have a lot of Air Force standing by. So these planes have to be in range from Season 6. So just lure them in. Japan has a lot of Air Force, and just mop them up. Just one final thing, personal thing, that I'm very pleased with Global 40, but wow, look at the box size of that. I got the anniversary edition just a couple of days ago, so I'm very excited. I just opened it and did have a glance at the board, and it's well, it's not as big as Global if you put together Pacific and Europe together, but seems like a lot of fun. And the gameplay is a bit shorter, rules are a bit simpler, but the feel of the game, it's I got it for what, 80 euros. I don't know what's that in dollars, maybe $90, something like that. I think it's well worth it, and I can't wait to play this game online via YouTube. So we'll pop up my really Dutch Lancaster beer, and I will certainly enjoy this. Okay, again, thanks for watching. Bye bye.